70 News.
It's been less than a week since we lost Gord Downie, frontman for the Tragically Hip. We knew the day was coming, but it still arrived with a certain suddenness. And in the days since Gord's passing, we have heard a call for teachers across this province to teach like Gord. Well, Sean O'Brien, who teaches music within the Waterloo Catholic District School Board, has been doing that very thing for some time already, and he takes time to join us this morning. Sean, it's great to have you on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
What does it mean to teach like Gord?
Well, I think we've heard a lot of things, various things during this last week, but he was such a great guy. I think it starts there. I've been telling my students, he was could be your next door neighbor, but he taught us so much through his lyrics and through his social justice causes. I think it's just about being a good person at the heart of it. And then in this case, using music, which is the ultimate tool and the ultimate way to connect with the kids, really.
I know what a fan of Gord's music you are. In fact, the Practically Hip is one of the foremost tribute bands for the Tragically Hip. What is it about Gord's style, the way he did things, that inspired you to take it into the classroom?
Well, it started, I've always used popular music with the kids, again, to connect, on their level. But it really started when they announced that he was sick a year and a half ago. And that one day, I went into my class and taught my students one of their songs, which is not easy to do at a beginner level. But the kids really got into it. I think in talking with them, a lot of their parents are fans, so they might really not know this band or who Gord is, but they're able to understand through their parents and myself and how important it is. And then from there, I just kept going with it, using the hip as much as I can. And other teachers are being encouraged to do the same. It doesn't have to be just music. There's lots to do with his lyrics, his poetry, the history that he uses in his songs about Canada, and geography alone. You could do so much as well.
So you've touched on three different genres within teaching. You've got the history, you've got the English for the lyrics, you've got the geography, and anytime you're talking about Wheat Kings and thinking of the prairies of Saskatchewan, I mean, it's a real reflection of Canadiana. So you can see outside of yourself as a music teacher where Gord and the Tragically Hip are applicable in various aspects of our classrooms.
For sure. I mean, he paints a picture of Canada, and many of us maybe don't even get to travel across our country, but you can definitely see through his lyrics, how great our country is. And actually watching their movie the other night, there's a clip with the Prime Minister where he says, they're a cultural force, the Tragically Hip. I think that's a good thing for us to remember. They've done a lot for Canada and, again, for teaching many people about Canada.
So take us into the classroom, Sean, understanding that you obviously are a music teacher, but maybe even that first time you took Gord's music, the Tragically Hip's music, into a classroom to teach to the kids. What do you do? Are you just teaching a song, or how are you helping the kids understand what the song is about, that sort of thing?
Well, as a music teacher, I'm definitely going right to the music. So that first day I did it, it was just a matter of teaching them quickly a few new notes that maybe they didn't know, and then teaching them the main riff. I have a lot of experience, so I'm able to break it down and simplify it for them so that they get it. And then they get excited about it, which in turn makes it more fun for me to see them getting into it. And we just go. And then in this last week, I've been doing a lot of drumming where we use buckets. And I just throw on a hip song and basically teach the kids the different rhythms that a rock drummer would do in different groups. And we put it together and just bang away. It was actually quite therapeutic in a way. We were more celebratory than sad when we were banging away on the drums. The kids really loved it.
I love how you say, the kids, when they get it, as you work with them and they begin to sort of understand. We had a caller last week talking about sort of teaching his kids about the hip, and now that they're 10 and 11 years old, they can identify a tragically hip song every time it comes on the radio. They know what the hip sounds like. And I told him that kind of makes him like parent of the year, right? Because he got that knowledge into his kids' heads. But how does it feel for you? Because obviously you're teaching these kids music they would not have known prior. You are introducing them to Gord Downie and the hip. How does it feel for you when you see them get it, when you hear them get it?
Well, it's the ultimate feel. It's just an amazing feeling. Music is so special in many ways, and as a music teacher and a musician my whole life, it's the connection that it's really what it's all about. The kids, a lot of them don't know the hip, but they're interested in new things, and I think a lot of the music they listen to, they get it. It's very repetitive and boring, and it's changing all the time, and there's no substance to it, where the hip is the complete opposite. So anytime I get talking about the hip, or in the past, talking about Gord and everything, they were very interested. And even this last week, we were talking about all the tributes that we were seeing on TV, and everyone was talking about the tributes at the hockey game. So I was telling them about the song 50 Mission Cap and the story behind it, and they were all very, very intrigued and wanted to know, and when they heard the story, they couldn't believe it. So they're interested in learning, and it's just great to be able to use music that I love, and the hip is the soundtrack to my life, and being able to share that with these young kids it's quite amazing.
As somebody, Sean, who has such a strong connection to the hip as you, of course, with that tribute band, the Practically Hip, what was your reaction? What was your feeling when you learned the news of Gord's passing last week?
Well, it was like most people. It was just a numbness, and I was actually stuck in that god-awful traffic jam in Cambridge.
Yeah.
And I'm going to share something. Like I drove around Cambridge for almost an hour, and I was supposed to be in Kitchener. I couldn't get out. And you could see everyone was frustrated, spinning around, trying to find their way out. I pulled over to one of my other schools to go in and just touch base because I was going to be late. And when I came out is when the news had broke. And driving around again, you could see everyone in the cars were sad. You could really see and feel the change in people in their cars. And, it's just been a few days of I can't believe it. And watching his concert last night, The Secret Path, again, I've cried about 5 or 6 times at least. And on the weekend I had a gig. I sang a lot of their songs, and it's different now. It's a different feeling, but it's going to take some time for many people, and that just shows the power of music in this band and how much they connected.
Well, keep up that great work in the classroom. Keep teaching like Gord, and I think that's exactly what he'd want. We keep the memory alive that way.
Yeah, the music will live on, and the the stories, and it's just awesome. I'm so glad that Tragically Hip have been part of our lives.
Really appreciate you making time for us on the show today, Sean. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Sean O'Brien, he is a music teacher with our local Catholic school board. He fronts the Practically Hip, one of the foremost Tragically Hip tribute bands. And he teaches like Gord, just like Ontario teachers are being asked to do since the passing of Gord Downie last week. This is the Mike Farwell Show. Rant or rave, a full hour of radio just for you.